Hello, it is time to do the creative thingy-ma-do, blah 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 doopy-doo. Yes. Time for us to go over the next few issues of the Fantastic Four. So we have of the Fantastic Four at last missed their match when mighty Submariner, and the evil Doctor Doom team up. Possibly. We get a simple fun cover and the weird looking thing. Captive's deadly duo. Oh, Captains of the Deadly Duo. I didn't know. Yeah. It's okay. Quick little fun thing as Johnny flies straight to it. Oh, it is. As everyone rushes apart, the team rushes to their locations. With the mailman, which is a bit. I don't think we actually have the mailman. I think it's actually meant to be his son. I think. So get confused, and explains a little bit. So it's a little bit more about the special one tower. In fact, it actually has a special hidden buckle which allows you to go up and we get more explanations about what's going on. For some reason, that person looks very similar to Magneto. I don't know why it does, but it just does. And then we get a quick little thing about mail. A weird and touching thing. I say it's weird because of the face he gives, but it's touching that he happily talks to his friend. Or to someone. It's actually quite touching as well. Yeah. That mouth thing. We then get the first introduction of the Yancey Street Squad gang or squad, and then they get to a personal. Then he tries to personally intimidate someone. Nobody was supposed to be. And then we get a cutting back to Namor, who's with dolphins for some reason, and then Doctor Doom appears. Ah, I finally found him. I knew my television scanner. Okay, would pick him up at low level focus. Now, Submariner, we have much work to do. Yes, given the amount of moments from 2022. Interestingly weird idea for that. And now we get a bit of a minor redesign, which is with the mask looks like that and doesn't look weak, doesn't look smiley. And it's both Doom and Namor. Surprisingly gets along quite well. That's all the thing actually the comics have always had. Both him, Namor, and Doom get along probably the best out of the villains groups. As long as they're over the top, they're booming personalities and being leaders. Namor thought that shows Doom the way, the playing is apparently in a submarine of sorts. And then the submariner leads him to his new quarters, a large domed villa in a field of serene undersea vegetation. We get a great bit of explanation about things that have been going on. Sorry, explaining a bit more of the backstory, explaining the fact that apparently both Doom and they all have a thing for Sue, which is reasons. They explain the backstory quite quickly, and then the two of them decide to team up to agree to take revenge upon the server's world. Doom serves a device he has, a grabber, which can grab anything and pull it back to them. But apparently, these magnetic forces are limited. If your hands are metal, that would actually mean something. Doom ends up dispensing the grabber so he can hide the tiny parts in his belt, in his Namor's belt buckle. It has an S on it. Namor then intimidates someone for some reason. Okay. And then Namor decides to personally apparently go to the tower, I believe. And Johnny finds the victor of Namor, to whom Johnny quickly burns it, and then he gets into a lot of trouble, where Namor himself ends up showing up. They get a little mini fight situation, and then problems do partly occur. It's because they have a lot of they've never been a fan of him. And then they realize that there could be a trap as they rush through to check through all the cameras. I don't get it. We've scanned every corner of our base of operations to find any booby trap. One booby trap. Nothing seems to miss. Yet I can't get rid of the feeling that some moment is being up to no good. I mean, obviously, he is how could we not trust the man who is who has battled us, sent a gigantic whale monster, and is clearly trying to flirt with Sue? There's nothing wrong with that. And then Doom ends up lifting up the entirety of the building. Okay. A bit bananas. And the primary reason why this is happening is because he placed the grabber thing in the dark corner of the basement. Doom flies it up to try and cause chaos, and right before they're able to die of exhaustion, they put on spacesuits. Great situations. Johnny nearly kills himself because he forgets his new option to actually use his flaming powers. Then they become very weightless. Ben acts as an anchor whilst Reed ends up trying to get Doctor Doom. Doom ends up firing a rocket at him, and then they decide to make a power-suit webbing. Did they encounter Spider-Man yet? I'm trying to remember. Grim and Submariner attempt to fight before Doom decides to plunge the building into the dang sun. Namor goes into a water storage tank so he can gain his powers back. And then he ends up attacking Doom by bouncing off a meteorite. Bonkers. And then he ends up using a pretty smart idea of how to use magnets in a way, by realizing that he has the more strength. So by forcing himself down, he breaks through the tower. The ship. He ends up using Namor ends up using the power, which is very rarely used, I might add. And then Namor ends up, and Doom ends up being electrocuted by the amount of power being overused. Doom is sent out and then hits a meteorite and then goes flying away. They end up putting the finding out where on earth this metal thingy is, and then they dump it back. And that's the end of this issue. Now issue number 2. Something that very rarely happens actually in the superhero in Marvel. I think it's happened a grand total of 4 or 5 times overall. The Fantastic Four being hated. Happened when they started out. Once in a blue moon it happens, but that's about it. There's a reason the most beloved hero is in existence. We first began this issue with one of the weirdest looking Greens I've ever seen in my life. It was apparently someone from Planet X, Earth's superiors, and that they were going to die when a runaway asteroid hits the planet. His name is Kurgo, and he sends his ship, something like that, to fly up. Johnny, we get the four as they are apparently going to be going into Washington to attend the government party, and apparently isn't going to be going well. You're not very good with speeches, it's not going to make things work, and then fights could possibly break out. Ben pranks Johnny and then creates some type problems. Apparently, we was doing a new experiment, in rocket fuel, I believe it is. And then this cargo ship attacks, was apparently attacked by the Wedge, obviously the communist group. You've seen the missile thing. Sorry, they fly off on the Wasp tub. Cargo's robot. That's not bad design. Looks pretty decently cool. It makes an atomic scanner to try and find the Fantastic Four. It's ending somehow create gigantic fights. When everyone's trying to kill each other again, which is nothing new of them. Well, Cargo is able to find it out because of the battles. They end up putting safety belts on them. Yes, it looks a bit weird, I know. And then they fly upwards. They find Cargo's robot. It involves apparently everyone trying to kill them again. And then we get to one of the funniest moments in existence of the way they're going to be capturing them. With Human Torch, it'll be Chemical Phone. With her weed, it'll be stuck in the cube. For the thing, it'll be stuck for electrical energy. As for Sue, she will be followed with a radioactive armband. Yes, I'm serious. Cargo orders them to go into the ship. They do, and then they end up going to Planet X. Everyone looks a bit interesting, again. Cargo keeps looking weird every single shot they have. Where this happens, Cargo ends up explaining the backstory about all the problems that have been occurring, and about the design, and revealing that there was a big problem. And the reason why they can't escape is because there's only 2 ships and there are 5 billion inhabitants on Earth. Ben tries to fight the robot, but it doesn't actually work quite well. Same with Johnny, but again, it doesn't work at all well. Apparently, Planet X is going to be blown up in 24 hours unless he can't do anything. One of what he does is a bit bonkers. He creates a device which creates reducing gas, or rather, small gas. Everyone gets very small so that everyone can fit. They would find another planet, and then they become and then go back to normal size. The Grim Bang throws a boulder over something. Oh, but it helped for a second. And then they're able to immediately just get across and get to the planet right before the meteorite strikes. Cargo very nearly succeeds with the enlarging gas, so that he can apparently become a king, and he then dies as the planet explodes. He's noticing everyone. Apparently that empty gas thing was completely fake. Now just do not eat with the puppet master. Completely bonkers. And quite fun as well. We were doing a brand new experiment, and again Ben was getting very angry and very grumpy. Boy, we must be getting to be Mr. Killjoy of 1962. And now we have Ben quitting. None of the times count as quit. Ben Grimm, 1. Johnny Storm, 1. Invisible Woman tries to talk to him, but then he doesn't really care. Then they see a man who apparently is going to commit suicide for some reason. And then Johnny and who's being controlled to. Sue fires up the Fantastic Flare, as we're going to call it. And then Johnny ends up saving him. Then we get the first appearance of the Puppet Master. Then we see the Puppet Master's daughter, Alicia. Yes, it is on. Yes, this is how Alicia Masters first appears. Someone who won't actually get married. Obviously, one of the more famous romantic partners for Ben Grimm. They won't get married until 3 years ago. Yeah. See, given that situation, took 56 years. Impressive. And the Puppet Master ends up creating a very powerful life-size puppet of the Thing to control him. Then Sue ends up going invisible. However, Alicia, because he's completely blind, he can feel that Sue's presence in the room. The Puppet Master makes everyone put on masks and then releases ether to knock her out. A particularly weird scene. The Invisible Woman the Puppet Master comes up with an idea by making Alicia look like her. It's one of the weirdest designs in existence. And then we get to one of the most famous lines. This man, his face feels strong and powerful, and yet I can sense a gentleness to him. There is something tragic, something sensitive. And then he tests out, the Puppet Master tests out this perfect puppet. What he does is end up gently making sure that he can be freed. Thank you for that. And then absolute chaos occurs as apparently Ben goes on the rampage. Ben comes back into human form again. It ends up stopping him. Ben ends up discovering about Alicia. Then again, he transforms back into Grimm. And the most brilliant line is he says, "But the Clink quiz, Sargs McBear was the Thing." The warden of Major Prison, having been controlled by the Master, frees every single prisoner and causes absolute chaos to occur. Thankfully, no one is able to hear. Thankfully, Sue was able to escape, and unfortunately, he's able to just hear. They end up he uses the flare, because apparently a giant mentally controlled puppet to fight back. Likewise, I going to get a mentally controlled robot or anything else. It's a really fun fight, and then he escapes on the giant puppet winged horse. And apparently he manages to escape. And then the team ends up fighting off a large amount of criminals. It's a pretty fun battle, which caused some very hilarious over the top silly things. And smack dab into the sand pile. Then he ends up capturing more of them. The weed bounces back some bullets of them. If I go and killing one's amazing. Johnny ends up trapping them, and then they end up just taking a single gun. Yeah, Alicia ends up sewing off. Is sewn by Puppet Master's powerful ruler thingy Medina for some reason. Flipping on this. Then, by complete accident, Puppet Master falls to his possible death. We got a fantastic thing Medina explaining what's going on. We have Human Torch. Now up to number. We've got a sillier one today. I mean, really silly. Basically, this is the one where everyone's gone bankrupt. It's it's happened like 3 or 4 times, and it's this very silly, goofy little thing where the taunts and when everyone ends up having to work for Namor in this very silly, goofy, over the top, fat top movie making machines done by Namor himself. It's a bit bonkers. It's more of a silly, goofy little situation. Nothing more, nothing less. There's little silly, funny moments. That's about it. Now number 10. One of the biggest fourth wall jokes in existence. I'm serious. Let's now get a bit of an explanation about apparently of how on earth the invisible power works. Apparently something else is going on about flames. Apparently a disintegration or something goes on. Which apparently involves statues of puppets that he's been trying to make. One of those over the top and silliest moments involving Doctor Doom of all people coming back. The two of them getting into bickering situations. And then we get into a new story. Then we get the story going on. Involving Doom creating a powerful spell thingy. Explaining how on earth he survived. He apparently got into a thing called the Ovoid. He then swapped his bodies. He was gaining power and intelligence. And he was able to trick him to changing bodies with him. He's able to trick everyone into thinking that Doom is Weed and Weed is Doom, and then he's able to use an invisibility spell. And then they tuck him in the chamber. And what Weed does is quite bonkers. Tap. And then he creates a shrinking way to make sure to apparently to help them. But in reality, it's just so that he could only to help them. In reality, it's completely not a lie. And then the Weed very nearly, the Doom Weed, very nearly wins. This is more silly battles. This is about battle situations. A pretty smart way of figuring out who and what's going on. Because they end up creating an image of a dynamite explosion. And whilst the fake Weed, whilst Doom Weed hides, Weed Doom tries to protect them. They end up swapping back, and then he's destroyed by the disintegration ray. Next issue we got a bit of a let's see what afterwards. Isn't there a really silly, goofier one? Like a completely over the top character called the Invisible Man, who to point things out brilliantly. Him and Mr. Michelangelo from DC. The two of them actually, I think, they can actually both go into each other's universe. I think the two are meant to be friends, since he mix shows up in the Superman issue, he menaces them, and it's the exact same ending. It's silly, it's goofy, it's just bonkers. It's just more of a silly goofball thing. And now we got a bit of a famous one. The Fantastic Four meet the Hulk. It's a 24 thing. I don't think it's really page length, is it, mate? We then get to a date with. We begin with a date. We get a bit of battle situations. They firstly think he's the Hulk. The thing is the Hulk, but he actually really isn't. So we and trying to hit people on the head again. And he explains what was going on about the Hulk. And then apparently they're going to try and do a battle with them. But obviously could actually quite work. Apparently in the job that General Ross assigns them to help find and destroy the Hulk. They end up figuring out where on earth he could possibly be. It involves several things, there's a recurring thing. This is probably the biggest battle the comics have ever had. The two of them end up fighting each other. And then we get to probably even more structural points. Oh, Miss Storm, a pretty young lady can always be of help. Just by keeping a man's mood up. That's just the way we feel about you, General. And now we get a much better looking Ross tub. It's a really cool design. And yes, I am openly calling it the Fantastic Ross tub. They explain that Johnny had actually helped to build it, which is something again that isn't focused on him as he's actually very smart. And then you encounter Mr. Banner, Dr. Banner, and Rick Jones. And Carl Ward. Board. Harlem Nord. Then we get a weird looking apparently they decided to get into over the top situations. For some reason I didn't know what's going on. A bit bananas. They end up showing off the flames situations. Both Rick and Hulk, both Rick has always known about him being the Hulk. And then they explain about a powerful device he made, a thing called the Wrecker, and an evil villain. Apparently a device that he didn't want to nick called Product 34, which would emit electromagnetic waves blanketing the area, making it completely invulnerable to enemy missiles and rockets. As it turns out, his assistant, Carl Court, is a communist. Or red. There we go, bully situation, right? The thing ends up just going over the top and just seeing more stupid at the moment. They end up testing to make sure the rocket sled works. Somebody apparently sabotages the rocket sled. And then while they go off, Banner transforms into Hulk. The Wrecker transports Rick Jones into finding it. And then The beginning of the battle begins. Both Hulk and Thing counter, "I'll crush you like Flea." And it's quite a tough battle between the two of them. They're using a lot more strength than they're supposed to. And everyone ends up fighting back. At one point, the Thing and Hulk throws a building at him. At a Thing. It's a pretty fierce and intense fight from beginning to end. The Thing gets into a vicious battle with the two of them. It's absolutely intense to watch. Then they encounter the gigantic Wrecker's machine, which is destroyed in one hit. The Wrecker tries to kill him with an atomic ray, and then they're able to be defeated. Hulk transforms back into forms again, the Banner. So nobody believes that, of course, he was only the evil one. And then the Hulk watches. They're leaving. But I got a feeling this ain't the last time we'll meet. And now we've got a bit of a fun one. Next time you see me, we be looking at the Red Ghost and the beginnings of when situations go nuts. You are too. The Watcher.